Well, good afternoon.
Got
This
your
is March the 20, March, this is July the 21st,
somebody else's.
2025, and this is the Economic Improvement Corporation, the Board of Directors meeting, and it's 4 o'clock, and I'll call the meeting to order. I would like to take this opportunity just to make a little statement here, say I'm very grateful to the city of Kerrville and all the employees and that are in this room and all of the employees that you represent in your departments for what you have done for our city in the last several weeks. Just the amount of work that you have put in, the number of hours that you have put in is really impressive, and I want to say thank you for that. I want to give a shout out for Mr. Rice, who is not here, but for his skills as well, organizational skills, and his ability to maintain equanimity in the face of some really harsh national scrutiny. I appreciated that. And I also appreciated that anyone who spoke from the city always came from a place of compassion. And I thought that was really important to hear and to see. I also wanted to thank Todd, also bring him into this, because he pulled KEDC teams together to go help businesses with the flooding, and the city council as well, particularly Mayor Joe Herring, who I felt showed leadership skills in the ability to be really personal, show his level of grief, and still make decisions and move forward from there. And so I was in Sweden, actually. I was out of the country, and I felt so much pride for this community, for being Kerrville strong, and I really wanted to share that with you, how important it was. I want the EIC to be a part of this recovery process, and so the next few months and years maybe that we are looking for projects that help to move Kerrville forward, and even more importantly to align with our mission of quality of life projects, and to see that we really help to restore the quality of life that people are moving to Kerrville for, and that live in Kerrville for. So with much deep respect and lots of appreciation, I want to thank you and 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 thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Would anybody else like to share words or thoughts?
Well said.
You're here.
The city staff's done a heck of a job, put lots of hours in, and more than we can count, I'm sure. So
I know they have.
then I've been out to the operations center, and it's boy, especially in the beginning, without the city being there, I don't know what would have happened. And so as more and more people came in, you know, they took over some of that work, but not all of it. There's a big load for the city, so they did very well.
All right, thank you. Ryan is going to lead us in an invocation.
Sure. Would y'all bow your heads with me, please? Heavenly Father, we thank you for the ability to gather today. We thank you so much for the volunteers, the search and rescue teams, the response teams. We thank you for our elected officials and leaders. We thank you for guiding them through this chaos and tragedy. Lord, I want to ask you to protect all those same people. Keep your hands on them and help them get through this. And Lord, I want to lift up the families and friends of those that have lost, that you would give them comfort and peace, and that you would just allow this community just to surround them and be the carrier of your comfort and peace. Lord, I lift these things up to you in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Ryan. I don't see anybody out there. And everybody's had an opportunity to read the minutes from last time. Do I have
So
a
moved.
motion?
Second.
Okay. All who approve, raise your hand, and that is a unanimous approval. And then we're going to move into our monthly reports. And so, Michael, updates.
Yes, ma'am. Thank y'all for taking time today. I know some of you have second jobs right now and helping doing other things, and so we appreciate you being here today so we can kind of talk. Part of the reason I wanted to have the meeting today, instead of cancel it, was just to post this flyer. And I just want to have this up here while we talk about the rest of it. This is just the debris removal piece. This has sort of been my life for a while, doing this piece, along with a whole host of other people. And it's most of the phone calls that I take nowadays. So if you grew up elsewhere and you've been through hurricanes or floods elsewhere where it's been large disasters where the state and the feds come in, it's a process, right? And it's a slow process because it has to be methodical. They've got to account for every dollar, and so what does that create? That creates a fair share of tension, right? With people who've got a car wrapped around a tree in their backyard, or just tons of woody debris all over the place, or they wanted to take it down to the dump, and then they got charged for it, and they got mad about that, which I understand, right? And we'll talk about. So we're 2 weeks and 3 days, I guess, at this point, removed from the event. Over the weekend, the number of missing was greatly reduced down to 3. And I can't even remember from what number at this point, but it was upwards of 160, and then reduced and reduced and reduced, and I kept feeling better. I'm not sure if I felt better, I don't know what I felt, because the number was reduced. That just means either somebody was found or somebody was removed off a list, and we didn't know. What we do know today is that the vast majority of everyone on that list that's now not on that list that was in the last few days is someone who is self-reported, has been found, or is not a part of this, is not actually missing. And there's a little bit of comfort in that. So we still have 3 individuals that we need to find. Nobody's leaving until we do. That process is ongoing. You see search and rescue out there at Kerrville Shriner Park. They're out at Louise Hayes Park right now as well. They're going to be further downstream. And so that's an update in terms of that, and y'all can feel free to stop me and ask any questions you like. I'll answer what I can. The state and the feds coming in certainly was saving grace, because we were all, over our skis. You can't handle that kind of thing once it gets so big. You need help. And everybody's been reaching out. Everybody's been so helpful. I want to note that city staff has been just phenomenal. They've been all just grinding, going, saying yes to my stupid requests to find this, do this. One person in particular, not just to call her out, but sometimes it gets overlooked. Kelly Hagemeyer has done just an insane amount of work, fielding really complicated this whole volunteer thing that encompasses people, money, pallets of drywall, 53-foot trucks of drywall. And all of this, the scope of that just keeps going and going and going, and this is being treated as like a city size of Houston disaster in terms of donations coming in, which is hard for a place our size, and trying to figure out where all that's going to go and how we're going to manage it and how we're going to navigate. And Kelly's been doing a lot of that heavy lifting for us, for the county, for Kerrville, for Kerr County, along with Todd and everybody else. But it is fun for me as their boss to get to take their calls, and they lose their mind for a hot minute, because we all have. It's the one piece where I get to tell them, I don't care. Swear at somebody who's really important. It's fine by me for today, because you had the worst day. You had the hardest day. Doesn't matter. Whatever you said, whatever you did, we can fix it all on the back end. Just go do the next right thing. And so that's what they've all done. And it's been good to watch. So, this debris thing, back to that. What we have asked and what we're asking people to do is to separate out that debris, place it out on the curb if you're in the city limits, or if you're out in the county, to place that out in the right of way somewhere, right? Either up against fence row, or you really don't want it in the drainage areas, but it's kind of hard when you're up on 39 and there's not a whole lot of room, right? And some of those private streets are even smaller than that. So what's happened so far? So TxDOT has already started with their debris contractor. And so any of the state highways, TxDOT is now actively picking up debris on state roads and making their way from Hunt, and I think they're going to make their way down this way, probably in kind of an orderly fashion, the furthest part, and then move their way down. For the county and for the city roads, and for private roads that have like an easement for emergency services, a lot of those roads up there in Hunt are private roads. Their TDEM has closed the bidding on the contracts today. I think they're going to hopefully select their contractors tomorrow. My hope is that they start by the end of the week. My hope is that they start by Wednesday, but realistically, my hope is that they start by the end of the week to pick up. We fielded a whole lot of questions about what happens when, somebody's already made the dump. Volunteers have come in, loaded up stuff, they went down to Republic and they dumped it all. There's really nothing we can do about that. This whole process is a bill that will come due that neither the city nor the county can pay for. And so the state of Texas and the federal government are covering the costs of it. And to that end, we kind of have to work through their process. That has caused kind of a lot of frustrations, and so that's really why I wanted to have that debris up there. Republic, there's been a lot of calls for Republic, just open it up and let it go. If you imagine the trash industry is affected every time there's a hurricane, every time there's a flood, every time there's any kind of tornadic event. And they do accept that, and they work through that when those disasters are declared through that process, which is slow for us who are here, but it's not moving it's only been a couple weeks, right? And we've got debris pile setups out at the old soccer fields. They're going to take that woody debris, put it in rows. They're going to dry it out, and then they're going to take what's called an air curtain incinerator, and they're going to dispose of that through burning. Construction debris will be taken to the landfill and then transferred down to San Antonio. This is just a transfer station. We have the acreage for a landfill, but we really aren't a landfill. So as long as our contractors will take it to San Antonio, we'll be operating under that, guys. What other types? We have recycled goods. Those goods that are placed out will probably be picked up before the contractors ever get there. The recyclers, both of whom have been great, Scrap Solutions and Kerrville Recycling. Those folks will get out there and they'll pick that stuff up and take it back to their yard. If they don't, the contractors will pick that up and they'll drop it off at their yard. There's a few other separated piles. There's hazardous materials, and then there's electronics, and then I don't know if there's any others. Appliances. So appliances, all that's white goods. That's stuff that the recyclers will take. So all those are going to be taken to their appropriate locations. We ask that people separate it, but we know that some of these mangled piles can't be separated. And so if they can't separate it, place it out in the street, and they'll get it out.
Are you publishing this in the paper?
Every day in the paper right now, and posting it everywhere we
Talk about
can.
it on the radio.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's like
Everywhere.
everywhere we can. And I still, even though we do that, I swear, the only form of communication that seems to work is individually talking to people. This is what I found in my 20 years of doing this, is talking to you is the way that I'm going to communicate that message. Because we just get hit with all of it. I look at my feeds on my social media, and I'll maybe see this one, and I live here. And I talk about it all the time. I figure it's listening anyway, and it should be showing me. So that's debris. There was a discussion a week ago about us taking the water out of the lakes and removing it all, and that was an exercise in trying to figure out the possible. Take the water out of the lake while it was raining. And we did find an answer to that problem, and we don't have to do it. I don't think we're gonna be asked to do it. We know how to now, should we ever have the need.
So, so that wasn't, that's not gonna be part of the process because it's,
Because there isn't, it was a search and rescue conversation that was being had by
Okay.
folks who were way above my pay grade. And the search and rescue teams, they were tasked with finding out the feasibility of that, and that came down to our public works section of it. And so we did. And I think they want to, as they were trying to figure out solutions to certain problems, they just wanted to know, can we do this? Can we do that, right? The water was it's very hard to see in it right now.
right,
You can see probably 6 inches in front of your face if you're lucky. There's a ton of debris, and so it poses a pretty good hazard for divers if they're gonna go under. And so there's it never came to pass that we needed to dewater the lakes, which is great, cause it is a complicated process. It takes a while, it's costly. So we never had to.
so are you looking at a longer term solution for the contamination that might be coming into the lake? And that was gonna help to resolve some of the contamination issues?
So from a contamination standpoint, yeah, we will get to that. Yes, ma'am. The treatment is a little more complicated. We're not gonna be using surface water for a while. We have to dredge out the intake section of the water plant. And so that process, we just got bids back from that, and I think we're gonna get started probably in the next couple of days or week. We're gonna have to crane some stuff in and then dredge out where there's a big intake hole, essentially, and that has a bunch of screens to filter what comes through. Has a giant metal or steel plate that covers it, so that way, if we need to work on it, we can. We can't push it all the way down because there's a ton of debris covering up. So we got to scoop all that out, and we'll get to work on that. But it'll be a few weeks at least, Stuart, before we'll be running on surface water. That'll give it a chance for a lot of that water to just move downstream. And so, yes, we are working on all of that. A lot of that nature will kind of sort itself out there. We still have vehicles to get out. There's propane tanks to get out. There's any number of things that we have to get out.
So you'll wait until all the water has gone down some and it's a little bit slower, is that what you're saying, like before you get some of that stuff out?
No, that's gonna be done by those contractors as well, so that's kind of a part of that process. I think some of that stuff might be there for a while, you know. As a part of their contract, each contractor is probably gonna be, the way it's set up now, each contractor will have a section of the river based on the amount of debris that's seen. That includes both sides of the river and the river itself. And so you can, like up at La Junta, there's a car that's visible past one of the dams. That's there. You can see some of those. Some of it you can't see right now because it is, you know, it is hard to navigate, right? What's down there.
And
So it's gonna be a process.
all the silt and all the mud and all the dirt that came down with the flood that is gonna now settle in that lake, is that going to be a part of the removal process?
No. No. There was a conversation about dredging. Dredging's a word that came up a lot. We don't dredge because dredging's $10 million, something insane. You'd have a barge out there with an excavator, and you'd be doing it for a long, long time. And so if they did dewater the lake, which is kind of what they call it, there was a conversation about dredging and a potential need for it. But absent them doing that, that's not going to be a part of that. No, ma'am.
And it could not be part of the funds from the federal government or the state for
I don't know.
effects of the flood?
I don't think it can. No, ma'am. It adds a lot to that bill. And we can still operate sufficiently without doing it. We've never dredged it. Right?
Well, the flood maybe flushed out some of the silt, it might, while it was going through there, might have, I don't know. Might still be, not that it got it all out, but boy, the way that water's run through there, you think, a lot of the silt was found. Not that there isn't RVs and cars and equipment and things, but.
Stuart's getting twitchy over there. He can answer it.
Yeah.
Talk to some of it, so, yeah, typically when we have a flood, if it's a small flood, it deposits a bunch of stuff in the lake, and when it's a big flood, it washes it out. But no matter how big it is, it's still, the big rocks and gravel and stuff fall out at the upper part of the lake, because as soon as that water slows down enough, it falls out. Then as it gets down by the dam, we didn't see that there was a whole bunch of additional sediment down there. Just unfortunately, it's right in front of our intake structure. We went out and measured it. It's about anywhere from 10, we measured every 50 feet out to the river channel, and it was between 10 and 12 feet for most of it, and then went out to 16 feet. And that was kind of over in front of the normal spillway where it is. Before this, it was about 18 feet deep, and it could get deeper than what we measured. We were just way outside of what we knew the crane could reach, so we just said we weren't looking for kind of sawing the whole lake. But typically, some of these bigger floods, it will actually clean that section out and takes a bunch of stuff over the dam and then deposits it downstream. So upstream, we did capture some more gravel. That's normal. And dewatering it, like Michael was saying, it's a lot. I mean, it's a big process. It's not just, because you got to find a place to stack this stuff. It's like pudding when it comes out of the lake. You can't stack it anywhere. There's nowhere to go with it. Where we're at here, it's not like down at the coast where they're dredging and they're throwing it up on these berm piles and they will leach back into the ground. There's nowhere to store it. So it's something that's going to would take a whole lot of thinking. And we don't know how beneficial that would be, the little bit of debris they would get out of the bottom of the lake.
Is dredging a part of any long-term plan for Nimitz Lake, since it's our water?
Not currently. We'll quote unquote dredge. We're going to clean in front of the intake structure as far as the crane will reach out there. Bringing a pretty significant sized crane in. It's a crawler unit. And it should be able to reach, it needed to reach 120 feet. I don't know how far it's going to be able to reach out in the lake, but we're going to open the channel up as far as we can towards the old riverbed, so we can get full access to the river. But in reality, the river was only 6 feet deeper than the section that we were measuring in the lake, and so it's going to be pretty well empty when it's coming into our intake structure, just the way it is before we're able to dredge or clean a channel through there. But removing the debris, that's more to get the inside of the intake structure clean of debris and get us where we can get our pumping operation going again.
Anybody else have any questions about the water?
Oh, one last piece, sorry, I forgot. Vehicles. So, everything that is going to be taken, that's found, that is a registered item, so it's a trailer, it's a car, it's an RV, it's a boat, anything that you register with the state of Texas, everything will be searched by police, search and rescue, to ensure that all that's left is what is there. And once those are done, the vehicles are going to be going down to Kerrville Recycling. They were kind enough to kind of cordon off a section of their area to house the vehicles. Some of them have already gone through Wrecker Services, and we wanted to make sure that there was a place for those vehicles that wouldn't really get charged daily fees, right? So you're collecting someone like a relative's vehicle or something. Didn't want those folks to have to go through that process and also have lot fees to have to address, right? So long process. We're going to be doing this for a long while. So that was my last piece.
Michael, may I ask a question, please?
Yes, sir.
As it relates to the river trail, do we have any sense of how much longer it's going to take before we can clean up the river trail a little bit and so people can start using it again? I know there's some sections where it basically hasn't been touched yet, but I imagine there's a reason why. But do we have a sense of how long it might take?
So, it's, I'd love for there to be an easy answer to this one. We're clearing it out where we can, to make it safe, obviously. That debris is gonna be taken out by those contractors and removed. So we've been talking about, there's kind of the art of the possible for what we can do as a staff standpoint. I've told them to stand down, until we kind of get concrete, clear instructions. Because once we touch something, sometimes they're like, no, that's yours. We're not going to do that. And so it's taken a minute, but I think we've cleared most of the river trail. I mean, the river trail itself is clear, so people can, you can commute on it. The bridge section above 534 and Veterans Highway, that's gone, so that's a stopping point. That whole bridge section, there is we're gonna have to rebuild. That is, I haven't seen other damage around the river trail, so it sustained outside of that bridge piece, doing pretty well. Now, I will say the sections around Nimitz Lake, there are sections of Nimitz Lake that just like caved away, and those sections were all the areas where the trail would have been. So, that's yeah. But to your point, there is a ton of debris left to remove. The river trail itself is mostly clear.
Okay,
So will it be the UGRA who opens the river, the Nimitz back up, or will it be the city? I mean,
Opens it up for what?
as in allows boating or swimming, or, that the contamination is such that you could get back in?
I think it'll be the city. Yes.
Do you have any ideas, like
No, ma'am.
no?
Not a date. Not even close to being able to say yes or anything to that. Search and rescues, once that's done, then we can start all those conversations. I think still, once the debris removal is done, that's kind of when we can say yes to all the rest of that.
I was very sad to see their playground equipment at Kerrville Shriner Park and Guadalupe Park were basically wiped out. We just put that in
Yep.
3 months ago.
Guadalupe Park, that's probably fully destroyed. Yeah, has to be
Really?
redone.
Splash pad was
KSP as
wrecked.
well. Splash pad,
We just upgraded that
yeah. There was,
a year or two ago.
KSP is still there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that one's still there.
The Guadalupe Park looked pretty good, except for the turf and stuff like that.
Structurally is gonna be probably totaled also.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
They
so
think
sorry.
that it got lifted up
Oh.
and then came back down,
Oh,
like the entire structure.
I just saw that one piece missing and then all the astroturf, but everything else was there, but I'm sorry to hear that.
So our estimates from our insurer, the low estimates are $3 million. The high estimates are almost $11 million for our damage. They've already cut us a check for that, which has a cap of $5 million. And so there's going to be conversations around, I know there's going to be conversations around, like, is Louise Hayes Park going to be exactly what it was, or are we going to kind of reimagine some of that? I'm going to start having those conversations with the mayor, where he wants to go and what he wants to see. But our hope is like Guadalupe, get that one back up, get it going, right? Cabins at KSP, a lot of damage to those. I got a list of, 5 pages worth of stuff. A lot of them are lift stations and things like that that are kind of out of sight. But everything at Louise Hayes Park, they're very important. I'm not saying they're not important. They're very important, sir. But from like a public view standpoint, yeah, Louise Hayes Park has got a lot of work left to be done. Lowry Park, the whole landscape of the river. It's changed. I talked to people who've been here for 40, 50, 60 years, and they walked down to the bridge and they were like, this is a whole new thing, right? So we're gonna have a lot of help. We're gonna have a lot of people give us a lot of input on what's the best way to do it. You know, we've been working with arborists and foresters. They've tagged every tree that should stay. We'd had groups from the Texas Forest Service. We had volunteers come in from San Antonio, from other places. And they've been out throughout all the city parks and all along the river trail. If they think it's got a chance of surviving, they're tagging it, and we marked it on the GIS. We're giving that over to the contractors and saying, don't touch these. Please leave these, because it's gonna take a long time for it to all come back. So anything you don't absolutely have to take out, leave, right? Even if some of them are dead and lying on the ground, right in the riverbed, it's not gonna do anybody harm. It's gonna help the wildlife. It's gonna be a good thing for the environment. So a lot of conversations around all that right now. I haven't slept a lot, so y'all are gonna just shut me up. I'm gonna keep talking.
That you haven't. Thank you, Michael. Let's see, we are now at 4B, and Todd is going to give us an update on KEDC.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Board. Todd Bach, Curry EDC. Want to echo a lot of what Michael has said during this time and the challenges at our county, and echo the fact that I'm very proud to be a part of Kerr County. And certainly want to say a big thank you to Kelly Hagemeyer, whose reaction through this has been absolutely incredible. And without her support, Curry EDC would have had a much more difficult time getting to where we are today. In a time and in a moment, Kelly decided to temporarily move her office down to Curry EDC, and the chamber opened up an office. And so we had the city represented in Curry EDC, and we had the chamber, and was able to do a lot of things being together in a short period of time to react as quickly as we could. We started, we can go to the next slide, Kelly. Oh, do I have it? Oh, sorry. So we started, phone calls started coming in on Saturday and primarily on Sunday, trying to secure warehouse space all over the county, preferably up from the eastern to the western side. So we started on Sunday trying to get in touch with as many realtors and as many warehousing districts as we could to find out what our space was available, and secured a couple of pieces. And it's actually, as that was happening, we understand why the importance of warehousing was as we move forward to store all the in-kind donations, get it all inventoried, and then host it in those warehouses so it can be dispersed out to the community as it's needed over time. While we were all together in the office, Mindy, myself, and Kelly knew immediately with the size of the disaster we were dealing with that we were going to have a whole lot of help. So we brainstormed and came up with a Kerr together and initiated and got in touch with former Mayor Judy Eichner, who responded immediately to our need. And we gathered up a panel of what we're calling a task force behind us of the Kerr Together that has done a lot of heavy lifting for us. So when we got the Kerr Together members, we were literally building websites and discussing and getting information out literally on the fly. And we're very excited to see how quick it came together. And we're able to coordinate and cross agencies with the city of Kerrville and Kerr County and KPUB and the chamber and chamber members and volunteers and all the local nonprofits jumped in, very eager to help. And we were able to put together really quickly what we called a business intake form. And the business intake form is where all of this kind of started from on the Kerr Together, to reach out immediately so that we could identify from the economic development side what we were looking at as far as businesses that were damaged indirectly and directly, either by high water or indirectly by having employees that were and couldn't reopen their businesses. So Judy, the very next day, before the intake form was almost finished, had the room full at the chamber with an army of local realtors that all gathered and immediately got their direction from Judy and dispersed. And we call it what we're calling the Triple H, hold their hand and hug them. And immediately went out and started doing that, boots on the ground from the eastern side to the western side of the county. That was very successful in getting us a starting list and a starting point that we could tell from the businesses approximately who were damaged, how much damaged, how many employees that they had, what were their immediate needs. All that data collected through that intake form obviously came as we continued to develop further down, and after we did our door-to-door, then we were collaborating with the chamber and their foundation as a business. That foundation could take that money in through donors and through a grant program with the Community Foundation and get that money out immediately to these businesses in need. And as a result of everybody working together, we were moving very quickly to get some relief, some financial relief. And it has helped out in more ways, and the community was very, very excited to see, number one, that somebody came to their business and physically checked on them. The stories that we're getting within like industries, businesses who cannot reopen and had their employees reached out to who once were competitors that took those employees into their business and have them now on their payroll. So really need to get out the word to shop local and go to your restaurants and eat, because a lot of these displaced employees are taken in by businesses just to help the employee to make a payday and help out their fellow Kerrville business. So very proud at the work that our local businesses are doing, not only through our organizations, but for each other. Communicated different funding options. Part of that Kerr Together Task Force, Greg Appel is a part of that, and Greg Appel immediately went around and gathered up what we're calling our banking family and gathered them all up in a room. We've had multiple Zoom meetings with SBA. All of the local banks are participating, whether it's their customer or whether it's not. We are urging the business community to please go see your local banker. Your local bank is plugged into all of the opportunities to get relief, but it's more than that, because there's a short-term need and then there's going to be a long-term need. And getting in with your local banker, if you don't have one here, their doors are all open. If you bank with another bank and one's closer and more convenient, they're welcoming any and everybody into any bank door. When you go in, you're going to be greeted, you're going to be set down, and as we all know, in a time of panic and distraught, it's very difficult to go through some of these pathways to get an application in. A lot of people lost all the data that they need. These banks actually have access to get financial records for you, and they are there to help you and help that application go much easier and much faster. Speed, obviously, is key right now. When you also look at, when we're going to look at the media, getting all the information out as it coming in at different times, it's been very difficult, because you'll get a piece of solid information, you get it out, and then there's new information that comes in just as important to get it out as well. Appreciate all the local media, the Lead, the papers, Hill Country Community Journal. They have all been wonderful in reaching out to all of our needs and getting press releases and stories out. And one of the challenge we have, we talk about the short game and the long game. We are currently working on what the long game looks like. We are currently putting together programs that look as what do we do to recover Kerr County as a whole, not only in the business and the economic development side, but also in the personal side, because in the way we're viewing the economic development across Kerr County is there are people who have their homes affected that are employees that can't get back to work if they don't have a home. Looking at temporary housing, we're looking at long-term relief, we're looking at every option that's on the table. So we are already in the process of working on a long-term plan for Kerr County, and would urge everyone at this time to go to kerrtogether.com. As we get all the information in from the city, it is posted. They have access to that website to post the latest and most up-to-date information right there on the website. And again, I just want to give a big thanks to everybody. It's just been an enormous amount of support, an enormous amount of help during this time, and we are making progress. Although we're told by TDM that you are ahead of the game, well, I tell you, if this feels like being ahead of the game, I would hate to be par. And so we're continuing to push forward to stay ahead of the game and get even further ahead as we move forward and come up with long-term plans and long-term strategies. And I know that the city and Kerr EDC and the chamber and all the media and the West Kerr and Comfort are all working to get local town hall meetings put together so that we can disseminate a lot of this information. There's been areas that haven't had a chance to look at a newspaper or don't have access to the internet or not on social media. So gathering these multiple points down along through Kerr County to get in touch with what options of relief are available are going to be going on all next week. And I know Kelly's been working very hard to make that happen and coordinate those and coordinate the locations. We're all going to be at all of them as possible at different times so that we can cover the community and help. And as you well know, when it comes to the river, we have a lot of friends just north of our Kerr County line. We just want you to know that we are including them. We're going beyond any sort of geographical. If they need help in their businesses and they're in Kendall County, we are helping them and here to assist them as well too. And again, all of our partners, we want to thank the EIC too for all the help that you've given and keeping our organization stable throughout the years. And we're going to definitely be back to see you. And as we develop really good, solid plans, funding is what's going to be needed to fix a lot of our existing problems. Open up the floor to any questions at this time. Thank you for your support.
This is a tremendous amount of work that y'all have accomplished in 2 weeks. It is amazing amount of work.
Well, thank you, and thank you to the Army. I mean, it has been amazing when you look at all the different organizations that just came together and the banking family. It's just amazing how everybody just came together and is working as one. Very united, very good feeling. Thank you.
All right, 4C, Kerrville Economic Improvement Corporation project steps.
Some information for you. Everybody so I think last week we told a lot of staff, just, you gotta go back and do what you gotta do, right? We still have a city to run, we still have things that we've gotta get done. A few of us had to kind of peel off and do this, but we've still managed to continue to work projects to figure out ways to keep them going, kind of stalled some things in order not to block traffic and, do things like that. But all the contractors that we've been working with have been fantastic. The first thing they all asked was, how can we help? What can we do? And so let's see, what do we got here? Cali Theater. So the update that I have is that we have incorporated their requested items into the budget, and the total for all of those is, this includes, we had to do some sprinkler repair and a change order. So I think it was the men's restroom, there was a section of the sprinkler system that was encased in concrete when it was poured.
Gosh.
Still wrapping my head around that. These are the things that you don't see until you uncover. So along with that and repainting the proscenium, which is that archway that we discussed, fire retardant on the stage drapes, and let's see, there's a few other items in there. It brings that total for the whole project up to about 3.63, I think, all told. We had some deductions and some increases. So that project is doing fantastic, staying well within budget. I'll have a much more detailed overview for you, but just want to let you know that those were incorporated, and that project is still on schedule to be completed at the August 31st deadline. Same pictures from last time. Go back, that door right there on the bottom right. Don't step there. Now you can step there. I stepped there before and it was a bad idea. All right, the Olympic pool. So I have a bunch of emails. Kyle Burrow and his team in engineering have been taking this on. Lots of back and forth. Contract was awarded to J.K. Bernhard at the last council meeting or the council meeting before that. And so we're doing a ton of the back-end paperwork before we can get their notice to proceed going. So they're getting getting all their insurance, getting all their bonding requirements for the project taken care of. And so we're simultaneously trying to get as many of those things done as we can so that we can get started with demo and get going. Plan is still to have that open by Memorial Day. Might be a couple weeks behind in all reality, but you know, I think Kevin and his team they're invested in this project. They want to get this thing open for the community. It's going to be a big thing for us if we can get this back open by Memorial Day next year. So, on its way.
Refresh my memory. We increased the budget to 7.75 million. But we've already spent 800 on engineering?
We
Is that
have
correct?
894, I think, total.
Okay, so if we add the 8, let's call it 900,000 to the agreement here, that takes us up to about 7.4, right?
It does.
Okay, so,
We have some room for some alternates.
Okay.
And those are things that we can talk about as the project progresses, see where any contingencies end up. If the contingencies we have in place are sufficient, or if we're gonna have to bust on those. It's all about pulling the roof up and finding things like sprinkler heads with concrete surrounding it, right? Hopefully we don't find too many of those in the pool, in which case we'll have some alternates that we can add back into the project.
so we've got about 300,000, 350,000 more or less in wiggle room in case something comes up, at least that we've budgeted so far.
And we have built-in contingency into the project, so you
Okay.
really have about 5,
Okay,
right?
perfect.
We haven't been so lucky where we have a little bit, actually, forget that. No,
Yeah.
we have. Let me get to the next one. So the golf course project is progressing along. Mitch Harrell, who has been placed under contract to kind of help facilitate that project and stay on and kind of help with the next few years of the golf course, is overseeing that and helping Bobby Morris in the pro shop, and then helping Randy Cawthon, who's the superintendent down there. Grass is growing in nicely. We had a little bit of flooding during the second phase of rain that came in town, that was heavy in town, but that's pretty normal for us. That creek will flood through the golf course. Didn't affect any of the greens, any of the bunkers, or any of that. Just about everything is done. We have the deck extension complete. We still have to do the railings that go back around. And then now we're just waiting for the grass to grow. Golf carts should be coming in this week or next week.
Any part next week?
Next week. And so that project is moving along just fine. I have no idea about the green flush restroom. I think when the tournament happens in end of August, we're probably gonna have to have porta potties here to handle that. Outside of that, everything else in that project is moving along as it should. These are old photos. I drove past the other night on the way home. It was the sun hadn't gone down yet, and that grass is looking green on those greens. So it's doing its thing. The Shriner House. So we had a little bit of extra funding from contingency and for landscaping and that project. And so we are now talking to Marksman about not doing the whole grounds. We're talking about doing a decorative fence around before you get to where, kind of there's that amphitheater style hill where all that grass is at, and they had the old statues on the side there. Before there, putting kind of a 4-foot decorative fence that would go all the way around that, kind of all the way around the property, partly for safety issues, but also will help with the aesthetic. I think the next phase of this project is the interesting phase of what does that look like on the grounds below? We've always talked about fencing in the back of the property, so that way you kind of cover yourself as far as the slope down to the river, because it's steep down there. I know we're talking about trying to do that all the way to the street as well. We have to have some conversations with our neighbors. The Calou Foundation owns the property next door. So we haven't had those conversations yet. But that project is moving along. And we haven't had any real hiccups or any surprises in a while. Once everything was
Right.
uncovered, that's kind of when the surprises were gonna come. And so we had a few, but it's doing okay. Substantial completion still by October 31st. I don't know if we've got any changes on that. And then Granger McDonald Park. So this is the one that, a couple of things have happened. We received, that planning grant from Texas Parks and Wildlife.
Good.
But Texas Parks and Wildlife has said that in no way could you prohibit motorized boats if you were going to be a recipient of these grants. That's a part of Texas, not Parks and Wildlife law, but God, what's the police? Game warden side of it, and none of us knew. Wasn't a part of any of the documentation, wasn't part of anything that we had been discussing. Was a surprise to every one of us that this was somehow no exemptions could be asked for or granted. I was talking to the second in command at Texas Parks and Wildlife, and he was like, "Yeah, that's not something we can do." Fortunately, the project is fully funded. Absent that, one thing that I need all of us to have longer conversations about is any deck that sits out over the water would, last year during the 6-inch rain, or this year, would be in comfort by now. Those decks will not stay.
You mean like the boardwalks?
Those boardwalks will not stay. Staff recommendation from all of us is that that's money that you'll be doing it again and again, every time there's a pretty good sized flood. Now, they have to be big, mind you, but those things would be gone, you know. Going upstream this whole time, looking at decks that are there are not many that are left. None that have piers and beams. You put a cypress tree in the way and the cypress tree wins. So we're still working through the engineering on all of it. So those are more conversations to be had. I'm not saying by any means that that's the end of that conversation. Just we all need to kind of think through the reality of what it looks like to put a boardwalk out over that water, you know, because it flows pretty quick. So I think we just need to kind of think through some. I've spent the last 2 weeks finding answers to things that there are no answers for. Surely we can find an answer for this that meets a need and still makes sense, you know. So that's, I think, the end of what I got.
So are you turning away the grant? I mean, is that already is that determined that
I'm
you
turning,
won't
well,
accept the grant?
turning away the grant is a function of necessity because we can't have gas-powered vehicles in that. That's our drinking water lake.
The
That's the
drinking
purpose of
water.
that lake is impoundment water for drinking. And so there is we let that happen one time a year and that's it. So we are absolutely having to turn that away, which stinks. It sucks. We spent a lot of time on that. It's annoying. Best word I can use for it. I'm gonna stop talking. I figure the longer I talk, the more chance I have of saying something bad right now. So I was fairly displeased to find out that we can't apply for that grant.
Mm.
KSP we already talked about is in good shape. Guadalupe, we're gonna have to put back. And I don't have anything else probably on other projects. Let's see.
But will you use those insurance funds to put back the Guadalupe Park? or you don't?
Well, so, like I said, there was, the high end of the estimate was over $11 million, or around $11 million. And the cap for the insurance was 5. And so, we have some things from a health and safety standpoint that we'll fix. And then I think we'll just have to figure out the triaging of all that.
Mhm.
But that's a big item, right? And if we have to figure out other sources to help get that in there, we'll figure all that out. That's going back in. Everybody loved that part. That was, I heard so much about that park when it got put up, so.
And the playground equipment, if I remember, was $500,000, right, for both KSP and,
Each one was
And we-
5, just under 5, yeah.
Oh, each one.
And
okay,
then,
500 each.
yeah, 500 each, yep. We got it. We'll make it work, yeah. Don't make me say yes.
I won't.
There's a long list of things on that thing.
Well, I'm pretty sure we're gonna be paying for that again, but I think it's worth it.
I'd give it, let us sort through the paperwork and, we'll get there. We'll bring we'll have something, I think we'll have a more robust conversation about all this next month, and certainly the month after that.
Maybe the manufacturer will take some pity on us and give it to us for half price.
Maybe so, and there have been donations just pouring in for this community all over the place. And
Yeah.
so, I think there's a lot of avenues. River Trail, doing really well. The folks from Lennar and their Lennar's Foundation donated $1 million to Kerr County. I got that the other day, so I was pretty excited that those guys did that. So that was kindness. Habitat for Humanity has certainly stepped up and said they were offered to help as much as they can. James Avery, we've been in contact with them a lot, trying to help get messaging out. That's all I've got, man. We're here.
Start to shake more down, get more details, we'll probably have a lot more questions.
Yeah, I mean, we're all in that space where we have more questions than answers for a lot right now. It's 2 weeks. It's only been 2 weeks. It seems like it's been a bit longer than 2 weeks, but.
That's an amazing accomplishment for 2 weeks.
It is.
Sir?
That's an amazing accomplishment
Yeah.
for 2 weeks. Oh,
I'll tell you what, this community's an impressive place. Special place. And that's the other piece, it's a special place for everybody. Whether you CEO of some company somewhere in Houston, you're a kid, you spent time here. And it's got a place in everybody's heart. I came here when I was 18. I fell in love with this place. Couldn't wait to get here. A lot of us in Texas feel that way.
All right, we are at 4D, and this is Trina's time to shine.
Good afternoon. So I get to present the boring stuff to y'all. All right, so June financials. Jumping in, this is your quality of life projects, and I think I'm on the wrong page here, sorry. I can't see up there. Oh, that's right, I'm sorry. Okay, so we're looking at your yellow column for all the June transactions, and first section is your interest revenue, and that is the revenues in your tax pool account and the one short-term investment we're holding, and that was $63,935 total for the month. And then your next section down are your projects. Scott Shriner Golf Course improvements paid out $154,000 for the month. The Olympic Pool, $39,000. The Callow Theater, $1,468,000. And then Granger McDonald Engineering was $59,500. So total project expenses this month, $1.7 million. Your interest earnings through the end of June are $1.2 million, and then remaining project funds are $14.4 million. I did want to note, and I forgot about that, speaking of HHHC, I know Celeste had asked this one at one moment in time, asking how we were going to finish paying if we've only transferred so much. So they're getting low on cash because the project is going and blowing. So we are moving, as of July 1st, we moved out $1 million of your $2 million contribution. So you'll see that on the next month's report.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so your statement of activities for your operational funds, June sales tax was $475,542 for the month. That puts us year-to-date at $3,808,000. That was up 12% over last June. We are ahead of budget estimate by about $19,000. Some notable changes for that 12% increase, though, were two larger payers remitted basically 2 months in 1 month. So one was for a prior period and one was for a future period. So it gets like that sometimes. But it looks like everybody's caught up. We did receive July sales tax last week, and that was $417,000, which is a 2% increase. So it's looking good. Year-to-date is actually 1.64% over last year. So we're staying right on target for budget. Your next revenue down is your interest income, $28,715 for the month. That puts you year-to-date at $248,000 and puts you ahead by $118,000. Now, the market has been pretty still, hasn't moved, it's stagnant, and that's a good thing because we're still investing your idle cash and still receiving some funds in. Down to the expenditure section, not much going on for the month. Professional service, City of Kerrville contract for $17,767, and then your monthly debt transfer of $213,000. So change in net position, $273,000 for the month. All right, your cash flow forecast. You see this is a little bit larger and wider. We did add in your fiscal year 26 projections. But there on the first column, bottom row, is your ending cash balance of right at $6 million in your tax pool account. The next column to the right is the remaining fiscal year 25 numbers, and then the larger section to the right is the budget we're going to propose for fiscal year 26. This is the next item, but fiscal year 26 budget has been delayed to the next meeting. We needed to work out some things with KDC and just all that we're going through right now. We're just not right there yet. And then just financial analysis. Top chart is your sales tax analysis, month over month and year over year. Your bottom chart is your cash balances in your tax pool account and the two short-term investments you're holding. One of those will be maturing this week or on the 25th, and that was $1 million. We do anticipate to reinvest that. And then your chart to the right is your remaining project commitments.
What kind of percentage do you think you can get on that?
He's going to get back with me tomorrow, but I told him anything between a 9 and a 12-month investment, just because you still have large projects on the books with
Right.
Lennar and all that. I don't want to tie up anything longer than 12 months, but he'll get back with us tomorrow. Right now, the tax pool balance is $443, which is exact same as it was last month, so probably something in that range. All right, and that's all I have. Any further
Thanks,
questions?
Katrina?
Do you have any differing projections for revenues upcoming as a result of this?
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns. We anticipate sales tax. We're still going to be budgeting flat for sales tax because it's barely making this year. That's pretty much all I have for right now. And then your interest revenue just depends on how the market swings. But we're going to try to stay pretty conservative. And I think right now we're at close to 4.5. I think we were going to reduce to probably 3% on that. But we try not to depend on that as much because, the economy swings and budget one thing and it turns out to be something different. But sales tax for sure, it's going to probably be flat. And we've reached out to other cities and that's kind of where they're going also. All right, anything else?
Right, thank you, Trina.
Thank you.
And so 5A is going to be postponed until August meeting. And then executive session, anybody up here says that we need to have some kind of conversation?
Was on the agenda, so. Yeah, every night.
Okay, and are there any items for future agendas that we want to suggest?
So we'll do budget next month. We'll do KEDC budget next month too, and then EIC budget.
So, do we take a motion to adjourn, or do I just adjourn?
Second.
We have a first.
Oh, I thought he did. I'm sorry. I thought he said motion. I'm sorry.
We've got two motions up here.
I'll second.
I'll second. So adjourning at 5:05. Thank you.
Thank you.